The Louisiana Special School District's Board of Directors meeting, February 21st, 2022.
Good afternoon. My name is Christy Flynn, and I am the Vice President. And today I will be acting in the role of the President. So we are going to get started with our meeting. At this time, it is 12:55. And I would like our board members to go around and just let everybody know who you are and who you represent. And if it's okay, we will start with Dr. Edward Bell.
Good afternoon. I'm Edward Bell, representing Louisiana Tech University and Professional Development and Research.
Thank you. Okay, we will move to Mr. Jimmy Gore.
Yes, my name is Jimmy Chavez Gore, and I'm the process for Larry LeBert. And I want to, Larry's actually praying for you, hoping that you all do a lot of good work today, and then we'll reach our objectives today. So I'm just passing on the message from him. Sorry. And our objective here is to reach excellence. And he's not doing great today. He's facing some health issues, so he sad that he cannot be with us today, but he asked me to share his regard with all. And then would you pray for him?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gore. We will move on to Sherry Crosby.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sherry Crosby. This is my name in sign language. And I'm the Vice President of the Louisiana Association for the Deaf, LAD. I'm representing the deaf community for the entire state of Louisiana.
Okay, we have Ms. Alicia Fallon. Is that close enough? Okay.
That's great. I'm Alicia Fallon, a proxy for Jamar Enos. Jamar is serving in his new role as Executive Director of SILK. So I'm proxying for him under the governor's office.
Thank you, Alicia. Okay, we're going to move on to Ms. Vicki Smith.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vicki Smith. I'm the Education Program Coordinator at Elaine Hunt Correctional Center, and I'm here representing the Department of Corrections.
Thank you, Vicki. Okay, we're going to move on to Judge Blair Edwards.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Blair Edwards. I serve the 21st Judicial District Court System as the juvenile judge, and I represent the Office of Juvenile Justice here on this committee, and hopefully we can do some great work.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Michelle Jones.
Hi, I'm Michelle Jones, and I'm the Regional Manager for Louisiana Rehabilitation Services, and I represent Region 3.
Thank you very much. Okay, today we have Ms. Danielle Pierce.
Hello everyone, I'm Danielle Pierce and I am representing Mr. Ronnie Morris and Bessie Chu.
Okay, we have Audra Muslow Hicks.
Good afternoon, I'm happy to be back and to see everyone here today. I'm Audra Muslow Hicks, Vice President of Community Services for Louisiana Association for the Blind in Shreveport.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Maria. Oh, do we have two more? Oh, yes, I see two more. Okay, Maria Ennis.
My name is Jackie Broussard. I work for ABL, Affiliated Blind of Louisiana, as a Braille teacher.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to move on to Jackie Broussard.
My name is Maria Annis,
Okay,
and I work in Lafayette.
Could you repeat that for us?
Sure. My name is Maria Annis, and I work for Affiliated Blind Louisiana in Lafayette.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a few housekeeping items. Public comment cards are located over here to my left. So if you have a question or a comment that you want to put towards the board, you will have to fill out one of these before it's spoken. So they'll get it and we'll receive it. Okay, we're going to move on to approval of the November 8th, 2021 meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Audra Muslim Hicks approved.
Second.
And then second, thank you, Vicki. All right, we're going to move on to the reports. The first report we have today is the superintendent's report, and we have Catherine Grenier giving that report. Oh, hold on one.
You got a motion and a second, you got to ask if anyone has.
Okay. Does anybody object to the minutes that were just approved? Okay. All right, so then we will move on to the reports, and we have our superintendent's report.
Good afternoon, I'm Catherine Grenier. I will be presenting on behalf of the superintendent. He could not be here today due to health reasons. So all of the portions that are the superintendent's, I will be reporting on his behalf. So for the superintendent's report today, we're going to go over some data updates for the schools and for COVID. So So for the schools report, both schools, LSD and LSBI, welcomed our scholars on August the 9th. Our COVID comprehensive reentry guide was updated to reflect the most recent LDOE and CDC guidelines and has been updated throughout the year. We will probably be doing a new update coming up soon. And these are some of the data that we received on the Omicron variant. Hurricane Ida made landfall August 29th, causing the school to close for 1 week, as in other schools around the state. The school calendar has been modified to ensure that scholars made up the required missed instructional minutes. And we have also updated our calendar for next year that is actually being vetted right now. That has not been approved yet. Our scholars returned on January 2022 due to COVID-19 Omicron variant breakouts, and we were out of school for about a week, but we still had virtual instructions at that time. So because the SSD is trying to keep So we are trying to keep the school day and residential activities as normal as possible. So here are some activities that we resumed most activities with sports and clubs. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser was actually on our campus to talk to our high school scholars about the importance of volunteering. LSD hosted, after 2 years, the Cajun Classic basketball tournament. And of course, for Christmas, we had our Gimme Tree donations, which we had 100% participation, where all of our scholars received presents based on their wish list. We also did door decorating contest and a tree lighting ceremony that we received extra lighting that was also donated by Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. So again, we are trying to keep our scholars in the classroom as opposed to learning virtually when possible. We need for more hands-on learning to include our LSDI scholars shuck the corn on the cob as they learn farm-to-table foods as part of hands-on activities. High school scholars at LSDI are honing in their auto mechanic skills through the senses of touch and sound to make repairs and car oil changes. And our LSD pre-K scholars took a trip under the sea to study various types of sharks. You'll probably see some of those pictures when our academic plans presentation after this. So our pre-K program, the School for the Deaf and School for the Visually Impaired pre-K program has received a rating of excellent, which is the highest rating from LDOE. LSD and BI received simulated school performance scores. LSD received a 56.1, which equates to a D letter grade. LSBI received a 50.3, which is a D, but has been approved for appeal from BESI and is awaiting the LDE to review and rescore. And of course, when our director and principal come up and report on their academic plan, they will do a deeper dive. This, I'm just touching up a little bit on our scores. Here, so on this chart, you will see our LEAP 2025 grades 3 through 8, the percentage of students assessed and non-assessed. These scores are actually from the 2021 school year, which gives us a full picture of a whole school year. And again, I think when our two schools discuss their plans, they'll go more deeply into this data. So our next slide gives us the percentage also of students assessed and not assessed in our English, algebra, geometry, biology, and U.S. history. So this next slide is our percentage of tests scoring mastery or above in ELA, math, science, and social studies. Again, our principals will be talking in more details about this chart. On this chart shows our ACT best composite scores for 2020-2021 seniors. That was all for our school update. Next update is on our COVID-19. So since the school returned in January, there have been approximately 50 scholars involved in close contacts, COVID-19 cases. Some scholars that have contracted COVID-19. Our student health centers administer to all students who come in close contact with other individuals who've had COVID-19 and those who may exhibit symptoms of COVID-19 themselves. As part of our contact tracing, those that have come in contact will be called by our student health center, and we also send out J-calls to let those affected know. Of course, individuals' names and information is not released at that time. We do keep track of that in our system. And families are also contacted and provided information regarding our protocol. And again, we will probably be updating our reentry and COVID-19 protocols as we receive updated information from LGH and the CDC. And that concludes the superintendent's report. The next report is our academics improvement plan. Our first up is Dr. Lane for LSE.
Can you all see me better if I stand here on the platform? Hello, good afternoon. I'm here to talk about LSD's School Improvement Plan. LSD accomplishments. I'll give you a moment to view this slide. So as you can see with our list of accomplishments thus far, our students were thrilled to have sports back. We started with football and volleyball, but our students were not physically ready for football or volleyball, so we adjusted and we did an extended basketball practice with conditioning to get their bodies back ready because they had 2 years of no exercise or athletics. So then they started with basketball, and they were excited, even though we didn't have many games. We were excited. We had some staff in attendance. We had a tournament in December called the Cajun Classic. And we had 3 other schools from other states, other deaf schools. We had Florida, Oklahoma, Oklahoma and Arkansas came here to our campus, and we had a lot of positive comments from those schools. That it was a great tournament, and it was so great. We were very hospitable to them. So that was a nice event. We had an academic bowl virtually last year and again this year. Even though we didn't make it, the students worked very hard and tried their best. Technology. So our students are already technology savvy, so we try to keep up with our students. We use technology in the classroom, and our teachers are becoming tech savvy and learning how to incorporate it in the classroom for both in-person and virtual learning. In May of last year, we had 16 seniors graduate. 9 were accepted to colleges and universities, such as Rochester Institute of Technology, Gallaudet University, Southeastern University, and Cleveland State University. 3 of our 16 students went to community college, and 1 has started working. I also wanted to add, our preschool was rated excellent. So that was exciting, 2nd year in a row. We recently, 2 weeks ago, had a college virtual tour with Gallaudet University and NTID RIT, National Technical Institute of the Deaf and Rochester Institute of Technology. And so after Mardi Gras, we're doing another tour with Southwest Collegiate Institute of the Deaf in Texas. So we want to give our juniors and seniors opportunity to see what is out there. Here are some statistics of grades and numbers of students at our school. So our total number of students, based on this date, January 27, 2022, we actually have 93 students. We had 2 new students enrolled just last week. And so we do have several students also on wait lists as well and going through the admissions process. So you can see that this year our virtual learning has decreased compared to last year, where we had a higher number, because parents noticed that students struggle with virtual learning, so they're allowing their students to return to on-site learning, which is more successful. For grades 9 through 12, correction is 50% dorm students, residential. Programs we offer at LSD. These are programs that we offer for our students, for dorm and day students. We have elementary, middle school, high school, and a residential program with different activities and also counseling. And in school, we have academic counseling and social emotional counseling. We offer after-school tutoring. We focus on PBIS, Positive Behavioral Intervention Support, where we want to encourage our students to succeed both in school and the dorm. So we encourage them to earn kickboard points through teachers recognizing them completing their work, their tasks, wearing a mask. For example, we want to praise them and give them points, and then they can use those points for activities, events. In elementary, we typically have events on Fridays, like we have Mardi Gras theme, or we'll have a store as well for the students to purchase things with their points to bring home. Another thing I want to add with another program we have is Achieve 3000. It's an online program for reading, and we have IXL, which is also online for math and reading, and they align with our Tier 1 curriculum. IXL we're able to include with Eureka Math, so students can work on their math skills, while Achieve 3000 helps them improve their reading comprehension, and their reading can accommodate to their level, and they can work up to be able to improve in their reading. So this is a measurement for all of the schools in the state, measured by the Louisiana Department of Education. And so we focus this grade on assessments and other criteria to earn a school performance score. You can see our progression through the last few years, starting from the 2015-2016 school year, going through year by year. Okay, so Sorry, just waiting a moment. You see, our LSD scores have been F for the first 4 years of 2015. And then in 2019, 2020, there was no grade due to the pandemic. And 2020 to 2021, we had a simulated SPS score of 56.1D. This is from the and this shows, because our students are scored more on the state assessments and they're showing improvements, and they, at 12th grade, are starting to be accepted into after-school programs and colleges. So we want to improve our growth and teaching students to be ready to take tests. Testing tips on how to answer multiple choice questions. We also meet their needs for within their IEP for test accommodations. And we continue to observe data and discuss data with teachers so we can see how we can improve the students' scores and learning in math and English. There's a comment from the board.
This is Jenny Gore speaking. I noticed that there are long pauses when nothing is being read. We have the visual, you don't have visual access. Can somebody read or speak what is what's on the board?
So we were waiting for the interpreters to finish copying what is going on the slide, and then I was sharing about the slide. So we have the student progress rating on this slide. The student's progress measures the rate at which students are progressing towards mastering key skills that they need to be successful into the next grade level. So in 2018-2019, the progress rating was an 86B. 2020-2021 progress rating is 81.7B. And this is found on louisianaschools.com, which is School Finder. And there's another comment from the board.
Hello, I apologize. If it's possible, I'd like to go back to the previous slide, school performance.
Sure.
Thank you. Looking at areas of growth and improvement, continue to teach students testing strategies and improve their literacy skills. What are the instructors doing?
I'm sorry, can you start over again?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Looking at that second piece, the second component, yes ma'am, areas of growth and improvement. What are the instructors, clinicians doing to teach the students strategies to improve literacy and especially their testing skills? Especially the graduating seniors for standardized testing. What methods are being employed?
So we're using a Tier 1 curriculum. We use guidebooks for ELA, Eureka for math. Teachers have received training and are teaching the class through those curriculums. We have observations. We have exit tickets so that we can know the students understand the concepts that are being taught. And the teachers do come together and strategize on what they need to do to improve for their students. The walkthroughs typically are by me or the assistant principal. And we do have a relationship with the ESS team, Exceptional Student Services Department, Accountability Team, and Louisiana Department of Education, focusing on the CIR, Comprehensive Improvement, so we can improve our class, our students, our instruction via those methods.
Thank you.
No problem. Our student progress rating, we noticed that this isn't updated very often, but we have had them update this for our school. So as far as our plans to improve, we have plans with literacy and math. We know our students struggle with reading and writing. We can expect our students to have a high-quality curriculum, which is our Tier 1 curriculum. We encourage our teachers to do checks for understanding, exit tickets to see where they are in their progress. We provide high-quality professional development for all instructors, so they have best practices on how to work with their students. So our teachers are working with deaf and hard of hearing students, so they need to know how to teach and look at accommodations accordingly. We provide support for our teachers and staff with students on technology, in person and virtual. If there's a problem, we have our our technology instructor who comes and helps with any technical issues. And our goal, of course, we have an ASL English bilingual program, and we want our teachers to understand this better, because we have teachers who already have certification in deaf education, but we have some who need to take this training so they can understand the difference between ASL and English and how we teach our students so they can understand better the content. We will be setting up a Bedrock literacy curriculum which is tied to the ASL English, where we're teaching our students ASL first using the standards in ASL. Once they understand that standard in ASL, we can have the English teacher teach that same standard in English. So for example, when you're teaching subject, like the who, the what, in ASL, then in English, you learn the written English of who and what. Professional development planning, so our teachers can be preparing our students for the building content and preparing for units. And those are submitted, there are weekly lesson plans submitted to look at progress. Building partnerships with our post-secondary, like with LRE. LRS, Louisiana Rehabilitation Services, where we bring them in to help our students be prepared for graduation and leaving high school. Our academic counselor will work to make sure their IGP, individual graduation plan, is ready and prepared for graduation. We continue to prioritize what's important to us. We focus on these priorities: our students' ability to read, comprehend, and write in response to grade level text. They may understand sometimes the ASL, but it's important for them to see the English and understand how to comprehend it and write better, and of course use the IEP with modifications. Increase our students' math, computational fluency, and problem-solving skills. Yes, we teach grade level math, but we need to accommodate to the students' understanding. Be able to break down certain skills so they can scaffold to the certain level and standard of grade level. We also increase our parent-family involvement to at least 35%. That's a challenge with virtual. Parents are tired of looking at Zoom. They want to come see us in person. So that is a goal. We need to see where we are with COVID, and as things settle down, we can have people come back to campus. We also want to provide relevant training and supports in curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Social emotional learning resources. This is very important for our students. and staff as well, to provide support and how we can help students support teachers support their students. We need to understand where the students are and where they are physically, mentally, and emotionally, are they ready to learn? Because if we ignore that, our students struggle. We do have several students that have lost family members due to COVID, so we have to give them support. We do want to increase communication skills with all stakeholders, staff, parents, community members. LSD's plans to improve. We want to focus on literacy and math, college career readiness and post-secondary transition, faculty training and support with professional development. Like I mentioned, with ASL English for reading and math, that's critical. We want to help our students to strategize how they can support students to achieve, teachers. We offer after-school tutoring to support our students in English and math. And also I mentioned the IXL, Moby Max. For example, we had a tour. We have had people come and tour via Zoom so they can learn about colleges like Gallaudet or RIT, and students have been able to learn about those. We have an ACT prep class for our students to take in preparation for their ACT at the junior and senior level. So they take this test or take this practice class in preparation for the test so they can improve their score. Do we need to continue to expand our Tier 1 curriculum? We need to be able to make accommodations for our students to make them ready for English, reading, and writing. We also encourage our students to get IBC certification, industry-based certification. Just this past summer, we had 2 teachers who received a certification in meat processing for slicing meat. So that's applicable for students so they can start to learn these different tasks. Ongoing professional development and PLCs, professional learning communities for elementary, middle school, and high school, and also in different various subjects. We provide ASL sessions for those who have not met their SLPI, Sign Language Proficiency Interview score based on their job description. So as an employee, they need to be able to communicate with other staff on campus and students on campus, so we provide them with support so they can take the test in April. Our goal is to see 100% of our staff meet their level because our students need access to language across this campus. Our timeline and plan. Our goals this winter are to start the AEBE ASL bilingual education training with 10 teachers. We want to initiate the Bedrock Literacy Curriculum. And of course, we communicate with parents through our monthly newsletter, through SMORE. It's an online email system. So we've already started planning for summer school and what we envision for summer school, seeing what our students need to take as far as classes and what supports we need with electives. and remediation to support their English and math. We want those to apply in each elective. We continue activities and events with parents. Our goal is to have those in person instead of virtual coming soon. So family communication. I strongly believe in building positive relationships with parents because they need to know what's going on with their child at school. So the goal is for us to partner with them, to communicate with the school. We want the parents to know who they can reach out to. Yes, they can reach out to their teachers. If there's something else they need, they can speak to the assistant principal or me. If it's a health issue, they can talk to the student health center. Or if it's academic or a counseling issue, they can talk to a counselor. We want to make sure that parents know who to contact. So at the beginning of the school year, we send out a list of contacts, of who to contact and the names of those individuals for parents to reach out to, instead of getting bounced around and given the runaround. So we encourage parents to check out our website for curriculum, and if they don't see it, they can contact us as well. Louisiana Department of Education has a website to get more resources for parents to support their child's, to assist with their child's education. We do offer ASL classes for our families through virtual methods. We know coming soon we'll transition to in-person. We can encourage them to contact Ala Terasuk. There's also an option for one-on-one tutoring. We encourage parents to sign so that they can communicate with their child at home. We encourage them to read the newsletter, communicate with parents need to communicate that the students are here or not here and their reason for not attending. We have an outreach program as well, and we have a family workshop series every month. It could be emotional or transition out into high school, toilet training for preschool. That was a great one, and there are different themes and monthly engagement series and workshops through Zoom. We also want to build relationships with the community, so we use social media, Facebook and Instagram, and also Twitter to talk about what's out there, and we want to collaborate with other organizations around Louisiana so parents know what's available out there for their child. Do we have any questions? Yes. Just a moment, can you use the microphone?
Testing. I was looking at the data for your students entering college. It's impressive. Do you have any plans in the near future for offering dual enrollment classes?
Not currently. We want to focus on our students to progress in the areas that we already need to improve, especially with reading, writing, and math. But I would love to see that collaboration for a dual program later down the line.
The ACT prep classes, is that teachers here, housed here, or is that an
Yes.
outside entity that does the ACT prep class?
So our teachers receive training by the ACT Prep. It's a 3-day training. And we have, I believe, 7 teachers participate in the training. And we had a class just start with teachers teaching this class. I noticed the recent December test, let me pull that up. Our ACT scores our students who took it in December, they improved. For example, if you want to go to Gallaudet, you're supposed to have a score of at least 14 composite to be able to be accepted into Gallaudet. For RIT, they're right now exempt for this year for the ACT, but we do have a total of 13 students who took the ACT, and 5 students received a score of 13. 3 students got 12, 1 student got a 16, and 1 student got a 17, another student 18, and 1 student 20, and 1 24.
Yes.
So,
That's pretty good. Okay, one more
Yes, thank you.
question, I'm sorry. Pre-K, do the students have to be, potty trained to come to pre-K?
that would be the IEP team that convenes, and we would go through the admissions process and ask if the student has been potty trained or not. Our staff and aides are already able to change diapers, and so we sometimes have students come, yes, and still in diapers, and when they're ready, we're talking communication, and once the student understands the communication, they can become potty trained, and by the time they hit kindergarten, they're ready.
Thank you, great presentation.
Thank you.
This is Jimmy Gore. I have a question about the counseling part. Do the counselors themselves, whether they're deaf or not, are they proficient in their culture, language? Are they well immersed on the topic?
For our counselors, we expect our counselors to be familiar with deaf students and their needs and deaf culture as well.
Yes, there are.
Oh.
Are they proficient? Do they have that experience?
Right now, I have one position for social emotional counselor vacant, so we are searching to fill that position. Yes, we struggle with staff shortage. We have been able to fill some positions of teachers. I'm looking for people with sign skills so they can communicate with our staff and students, yes.
Right, but again, my question is, the counselor that you currently have, what is their skill level?
So that individual will have to go through a process of taking ASL classes. And then by April, we'll assess for the SLPI. So it's not just the counselor that's taking it. It's 30% of our staff who have not met the SLPI level. And those 30% staff need to work towards going to ALA's one-on-one classes or take an outside class with ASL and then take the test for the SLPI coming in April.
So what I want to know is how does the counselor speak with students who are emotionally disturbed? Do they have to have an interpreter by it?
For those who need to communicate with students, they would have to use an interpreter, yes.
Okay, thank you. This is Sherry Crosby speaking. I had a question. I realized that not all of your staff are currently proficient in sign language, and some of them rely on an interpreter. So those who have not learned American Sign Language yet, they have to take classes. But what is the timeline, the time limit for them to develop proficiency? It's not a process that should be extended for too long.
Based on the job description, it will state when you are first hired, you have 2 years from that date to show growth in your sign ability. If you're showing progress, then great.
2 years. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
You said there were a few students on the waiting list. What's the turnaround time? The day that I'm interested until the day that I'm accepted into the school?
I'll give you an example. We have 2 students who are virtual. They want to stay in the dorm in our residential program. They're on a wait list for the dorm because we have to work on staffing to fill the positions in the dorm. And once we have enough staff, we can admit those students to be dorm students. I'm working closely with the dorm as well to make sure we can navigate that. For the others, like I said, that are waiting, they may still be in the admissions process with paperwork that needs to be completed, And once there's a checklist that's completed, then we can admit them. We also have to look at the staff on campus, in school and the dorm. Yes.
Hi. I had a question about student population and growth. Would it be possible to get a formal forecast of what the population growth should look like, or what is set into place to happen to increase the number of students in attendance?
Yes, so we do have parents that contact us interested in enrolling their children, and we encourage those parents to go through an admissions process where they collect information. We set up a virtual tour, and we do have babies that are not yet 3 years old. So when they're 3, they can join. So they'll start with the preschool program. I do foresee we will be growing in the near future.
Okay, I was just gonna add a little more to that. With the population served, there's a 3-year gap, a 3-year gap, and then a 7-year gap with only 30 students currently. So I know a lot of changes are happening. I was just
For elementary?
Yes, for elementary, pre-K through 5th.
All right, I'll look. Do you mind pulling that up? Is it this one?
Yes. So I looked.
Go ahead, repeat your question, please.
Okay, it's more a comment mixed with a question. Pre-K through 5th, I noticed is approximately a 7-year age, 6, 7 years. And then we have 6, 7, 8, 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4. So I was just noticing it's more years, less students for that particular age group. I was hoping to get a formal forecast of how to increase the student population.
Yes, so every year with 5th grade and that move to middle school, from middle school they have moved to high school. It depends on each class. Some classes we have a large number, and some classes are small in number, depending on the area of Louisiana where they're from, or parents feel that they can send their kids far away to residential school. The 3 and 4-year-olds, it's tough for their parents to be willing to put their students in the dorm program because of that family bonding they want at an early age, and we understand that. But when students are here and day students, we do have a lot of day students. You can see here that those percentages, they're less dorm students in elementary. They want to be day students to have that, see their family daily. I've seen the increase in our population over the last couple of years. We may have 3 more join pretty soon from our 0 to 3 group within the next year or so. As far as middle school, we're going to have 1 new student start after Mardi Gras. So we are increasing very soon. It's hard to predict what's out there, but we do know that there are parents and families out there that are noticing LSD now. They're seeing us on social media. They are interested in what we're doing, and they want to come.
For criteria, that's another question I had, was the criteria and how to reach those children so that they may apply to the school.
Our outreach program builds relationships with different schools all over the state and communicates with them, and gives them education on what LSD is about. provides resources if they need them. We build relationships with them so we can provide resources for different schools and districts, so we can be another choice, yes, for those students. Let's see, the other part of your question, let me think. Does that answer your question? I'm trying to remember your second question. Oh, the criteria. When parents decide they want to come, they go through an admissions process. We look at their IEP, their evaluation, and their eligibility. If they are deaf, we can place them into the school. We look at other criteria. If there are other additional disabilities, we have a discussion and see what's best, if this is the best placement for that individual. If we have enough staff to accommodate, if the dorm has enough staff to accommodate, we want to meet our students' needs fully.
Okay, I think that answers it. Thank you for, so outreach
Thank you.
oftentimes helps to refer kids. Thank you.
This is Ms. Jackie Broussard, if I can interrupt for a moment, ask a question. Okay, so first of all, hello everybody, I'm Ms. Jackie Broussard, and I wanted to ask you, I'd like to find out if LSD has students who either have Usher syndrome or are deaf and blind, or have any difficulty viewing, we have a visual impairment, and if so, how many are currently at LSD?
As of now, we don't have any students with Usher syndrome or visual impairment, but we do screen our students. We have paperwork, we send it off to the parents. If they're interested in the Usher syndrome screening, they can fill it out, return it to us, and we can progress from there. If we receive students who are possibly deaf with Usher syndrome, we will talk about it in the admissions process to see how we can meet that particular student's needs.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question just a moment. We're switching interpreters. Give them just a moment.
And this is Jimmy Gore, I would like to answer, if I may. I'd like to answer Ms. Danielle's question regarding how we are recruiting more students. Well, all of us sitting around the table today are responsible for doing that as commissioner. It is our responsibility to let people know about LSD. It's really our job. Not only the school itself, not only SSD, but all of us are basically shining the light and help more people to find out about the school.
Thank you, Jimmy. Are there any other questions? Thank you. I'll turn it over to the next person.
Which will be Ms. Melanie Hall for LSDI.
Anybody can get a hold of Dr. Lynn. There's one more question, please, Dr. Lynn. We know that there are a lot of deaf students out there. But if a parent family agrees to allow their child to enter the school for the deaf, maybe in later years when they're older, and then you identify the student as being language delayed, is the student to start the schooling all over again, or how do you catch them up?
So we do notice that there are a lot of language deprived students. That's a big issue for those who come to our school. We look at their IEP and their accommodations and modifications. In a certain class, we can provide tutoring, intervention, resources to support that student.
Mr. Gore, this is Mr. Gore, not only academically, but also social and emotionally, right? They also have to be on par with the other students, because emotionally
Right.
those who don't have access to language, they're definitely behind.
Yes, same.
Dr. Lynn, one more question, sorry.
Last question. It does go along the lines of a child coming in that has language deprivation, and every child learns differently and at their own pace, as long as they are learning. So that gives me another question for IEP teams and services. is this special school district going to adjust, I don't know how to word this properly. Adjust, because it is the special school district, has the ability to make some changes to IEPs in the state so that it can accommodate children to an older age that may require that?
All of our students receive IEPs from age 3 all the way to 21 or 22. So we have ASL goals incorporated, American Sign Language goals incorporated in the IEP to monitor their ASL skill progression as years go. We monitor their ASL skills.
Okay, and just to clarify one more time, what age does an IEP stop in Louisiana?
It goes from 3 to 21 or 22, or graduation from high school. All right, Melanie, take it away.
Alright, now ready to read it? Alright, so welcome. My name is Melanie Hall. I'm the principal of the Louisiana School for the Vision Impaired. I'm glad to be here with everybody today. I got to meet some of you very briefly on the tour today. So it's nice to be here and have a little more time to provide information about LSBI. As I'm going through this presentation, please feel free to stop me if you have any questions or you want clarity on anything that we talked about today. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is just some general information for LSBI. And on this first slide, it looks at some of our comprehensive school services. So I'm going to give just a minute to review this slide and then we're going to discuss. Alright, so just as LSD, we offer educational services for students pre-K through age 22 who are blind or vision impaired and meet criteria through our admissions process. Our current enrollment is 64, and that's 36 day students and 28 residential students. We do have a few pending admissions right now with students that are in our admissions process. We are noticing that parents seem to be more interested in going back out to a residential setting now that COVID seems to be calming down a bit. We have had several families reaching out to tour and gain more information about our school. So we do have several tours planned and several interested families that have been reaching out to us. We offer instruction in core academics, support and intervention services. We also offer instruction in the expanded core areas for vision impaired students. We have several electives and activities that we offer our students. We have an after-school program. We offer specialized services for our students and also transition services. And we'll talk a little bit more about which each of those areas encompasses. So this slide here talks about our core academic services for students in pre-K through high school. So we'll review it for just a minute and then we'll discuss some of the specific things that we offer to support our students academically. so for our pre-K 3 and 4, we follow the Louisiana Early Childhood State Standards, and we're using the Creative Curriculum in pre-K. For K through 8, we follow the Tier 1 curriculum in English, Math, Science, and Social Studies. For high school, we have courses of study aligned with the Louisiana State Guidelines, so we offer our students the TOPS diploma and also Jumpstart diploma options. Our current pathway offerings include automotive, agriculture, hospitality, business, information technology. And then our freshmen will be on the Jumpstart 2.0 pathways. We do offer dual enrollment in internship classes. We have partnered with the RCC and LSU. Currently, we don't have students enrolled this year in dual enrollment, but in the past, previous few years, we have had students take those classes. So in addition, we ensure students receive accessible materials as outlined by their IEPs. And supports and interventions are provided to ensure that students can access the general curriculum. All right. In addition, we focus on the expanded core for our students. Those are the skills that they need to be successful post-secondary when they graduate. So this slide talks about a few of the areas and shows how we focus on those areas in LSDI. So we'll discuss in just a moment. So especially with COVID and the shift to virtual learning over the last couple of years, we worked really hard to increase technology competency for our staff and also our students. That's been a big push. So we offer technology courses during, and then we also focus on that during our after-school tutoring program. Students starting in kindergarten do go to technology at least once a week, and then those skills are also incorporated through their classes. We offer career education through courses, career fairs, and also lessons with our academic counselor. We just had a career fair on Friday where we had over 19 participants join us. A special thank you to Dr. Bell for participating in that with us. But it was a really great opportunity for our students to be able to network with different careers and learn about different options that are out there for them. We focus on compensatory skills, independent living. We are working through the Texas School for the Blind curriculum to ensure that students are progressing through those milestones at particular age and grade levels. We offer orientation and mobility. We do have a certified instructor on staff that works with our students to meet their IEP goals. Recreation and leisure, of course, through PE, dances, recess, games, and sports. Of course, focusing on social interaction skills. Sometimes we have to explicitly teach those, so that's a big part of what we do as well. And some of these skills are taught in isolation through classes. For example, in high school, students may take a living skills class. They're also infused into everything we do in the daily classroom. Okay. Next, we're going to discuss some of the electives and activities that we offer at LSDI. So for our electives, this is most of our students' favorite part of their school day. We offer art, PE, technology, music, library, career education, and also social emotional lessons. We do have clubs. We have club day once a month for our students, and they have the option of joining 4-H, poetry, culinary, technology, student government, music, art, outdoor games, and gardening, and that varies based on different grade levels. We do have team sports. We have had some practices this year, and we're just able to start track up again, but some of the sports have been on hold this year due to COVID. But we do offer wrestling, cheer, track, and powerlifting for our students. And in a typical school year, we would be able to go on field trips, but that is also paused due to COVID. So we're hoping soon, especially this summer during our summer programs, to be able to go off campus for some trips as well. In addition, we have an after-school program, which runs Monday through Thursday, each school week. So that is from 3:30 to 4:30, Monday through Thursday. We focus on remediation, support in all content areas, including Braille and technology if students need a little additional extra support in those areas. We also offer ACT and work keys prep for the students as well, and those have been going really well. We've seen lots of positive growth. Students are getting ready to test in ACT and work keys again, so we're looking forward to looking at that data and seeing where students are growing and what support they still need. We also have after-school sports and activities that students can participate in during that time. Okay. For our specialized services, all right, so some of our specialized services, and these are outlined on students' IEPs. They have access to speech, OT, PT, APE, O&M, and counseling services. The next slide talks a little bit about the transition services. So we do follow transition plans, and these are outlined by the students' IEPs, and these are added at age 15 or as they enter 9th grade, whichever comes first. We facilitate coordination with LRS. We do contract with a company called Career Compass that has been a great support for our students with transition. And some of the services that we work with them on are seeking out and completing applications for college, career, or transition programs, seeking out career opportunities and creating applications. They also offer career counseling, and they help students apply for scholarship opportunities. So they work really closely with our school counselor, and they meet the students individually to help find the best opportunities that will support each student as they graduate. All right, we're going to look at a little bit of specific information and data for our 21-22 school year. So our theme for this school year is Safari to Success, and there are 3 pictures just showing some of our bulletin boards that we have around campus. So So the first one is for Wild About Learning. On the bottom, we have our LSDI Explorer of the Month. So each month, we select a student of the month from elementary, middle, and high school, and those are the students that have earned those pride points based on our PBIS system, and they get to have a special lunch, and it's something that they really look forward to. And then the last picture outlines our Trojan Pride, which is what we encourage students to do each day when they're at LSBI. So that stands for positivity, respect, integrity, determination, and excellence. So those are just the things that we remind students of when they're with us, and they do earn pride points for showing those things, and then they get to spend them at the store and have fun rewards for doing the right thing. So that's part of our positive behavior system as well. So just to highlight a few things that are happening at LSBI for elementary, secondary, and school-wide. So we're going to wait just a minute, and then we're going to look at each of these grade levels. Okay, so this year, one of the things when we reviewed our data, we noticed that there was a gap in our early literacy. So we've been working really hard to put a plan in place to close some of those gaps. So all of our students in kindergarten through 8th grade have a designated intervention time daily where they receive intervention on their targeted level. And it's at least 30 minutes for some students, for some it may be increased based on the need. And they're working through the IRLA program, the IRLA program. It's a tier 1 program that's meant to help close gaps and move students through level literacy. So far we've had really great results. The students are excited, they're excited about reading. They're able to earn steps for reading each night. And they're able to chart those steps on a board that we have in the hallway. So that's been a really positive experience for our students. For electives for elementary this year, we were excited to be able to offer PE, arts, music, living skills, technology, social, emotional, and library. And students are able to go to those elective rotations each week. For secondary, we've been focusing on increasing career and training opportunities for our students. So for our high school, we offer an internship experience, which allows the students to get some practice in a workplace. They help complete jobs such as picking up mail, running errands, making deliveries, and they're learning how to complete processes that would help an office or a place of business run smoothly. In addition to that, we have our high school students that have opened a vending cafe, and they're learning how to take orders, how to check inventory, and they process those orders and then bring it around to teachers. They're learning how to make change for them, so lots of real life skills for that as well. For school-wide, we are working really hard to reward students for academic success with honorable lunches and hoping to celebrate that academic success will continue to promote growth for students. With our PBIS program, encouraging positive behavior for students throughout the school. And we're also working really hard to increase individualized teacher support. We have a set time each week to meet with teachers, to discuss lesson plans and curriculum, and look at student work and data in hopes of really supporting teachers to continue moving students. So we're going to just look at our LSDI mission. So this is so important for us because this is what really drives everything we're doing at LSBI. We start our staff meetings with this in just hopes of reminding everybody why we're here and why we do what we do. So we focus on being a center of excellence and providing the best educational opportunities for students in Louisiana who are blind or visually impaired. And a huge part of that is through our strong partnerships with family, community, and organizations. It takes all of us working together to be able to achieve those goals. Okay. And then our mission of how we carry that out each day, what that looks like for us in practice. All right, so in practice, we want to focus on empowering our students, and we want to do that through engagement in high-quality educational experiences that will help them to foster the skills, knowledge, and character to lead independent and fulfilling lives. So everything we do is trying to help them work towards that goal of being successful and independent in the field or the educational plan of their choice. A few highlights from our first semester that we're going to talk about. All right, so a few of the highlights. Before school started, we had a PE staff week where they were able to receive some additional training to help this be a successful school year. We have an ongoing partnership with American Reading Company, so they come around once a month to support our teachers, and that's part of our intervention program in early literacy that we've really been focusing on this year. We have quarterly advisory team meetings with panel experts from various organizations that we are able to network with to discuss what's going on, current practices, and get some really great feedback on how to improve and continue growing our school. We had a staff PE series on using the Screen Reader NVDA this year, which went really well for staff. We offered ACT and Work Keys Prep. We had a back-to-school night for families as well as other various family engagement events, and we are hoping to be able to get back to in-person family engagement events very soon. We had a Veterans Day program with the students, with student performances, reading intervention support for our students, Students were able to participate in trick or treat and haunted house experiences, and that was just a good reminder of them getting back to a sense of normalcy and being able to resume some of the things that they were doing previously on campus. Club days and honor roll lunches for our students. We also had student council elections this year, and the student council does meet monthly. We were able to do a modified White Cane Day celebration this year, which was a great event for students and staff on campus. And then continued family engagement day and learning sessions for our families. Okay, a look at some of our academic and data. So this year we did receive a school performance score, but we made a request to Bessie that they recalculated the score because some of our high school data was left out. We did have less than 10 graduates last year. So because of that, they did not include all of our high school data in the calculation. We did request a waiver and it was approved. So we're just waiting on a recalculated score, and we do anticipate that going up. So we'll be excited to see what our new school performance score is when that comes out. And prior to that, we did not receive a school performance score in 2019 due to the number of units that were tested. So we did not meet the minimum number of tested units, so we did not receive a school performance score in that year. At some of our strengths and then our areas of focus based on the data that went into that school performance score. So some of our strengths were K through 8 in high school progress indexes. We did earn a score of A on those progress indexes, showing that students are meeting their individual targets, and we definitely want to continue that. For ELA was a strength for students in 3 through high school. We did have 29% of our students scoring mastery or above, and 69% of our students scored a basic or above. And we noticed that there was a strength in literary text analysis for ELA. For areas of focus, early literacy, we noticed when we looked at our Nibble scores that we want to ensure that students are reading on grade level. So that was our push this year, using the intervention program to try to get students caught up in reading closer to grade level and continuing to meet their IEP goals that have been outlined for them. Also focusing on math scores, grades 3 through 12. Graphic analysis was an area on the state assessments that was an area of weakness for us. And then we also want to continue incorporating technology to support increased performance for our students. So we're going to look we're going to look specifically at some of our goals outlined in our school performance plan, and then a few ways that we're planning on meeting those goals. So in our school performance plan, we do have 5 areas that we want to focus on for our school-wide goals. first goal is around improving literacy, so students' ability to read, comprehend, and respond. The second is focused on improving math, so conceptual understanding and skill and fluency. The third goal is around preparing students to lead independent and fulfilling lives. The fourth goal is establishing a culture where faculty buys in and takes initiative through promoting change through ongoing professional learning. So really focusing on PD and professional learning for staff to ensure that they have the skills to support students in the classrooms. And then the last goal is around involvement from our stakeholders, including students, families, staff, community, and professional organizations, to make sure that we have input from everybody and that we're providing the best services for students. Okay. Some of the strategies that we have for meeting those goals are outlined on this slide that we're going to touch on briefly. So of course, we want to make our decisions based on the data that we're seeing for our students. Support students in areas of need. So really look at the individual needs of students and make sure that we are meeting them where they are and that we're working to grow them towards their goals. Promoting literacy through school, dorm, or home with proven interventions. Of course, providing hands-on learning opportunities for our students. Increasing the use of assistive technology, expanding career and vocational opportunities, integrating independent living skills throughout the curriculum, providing social emotional support for our students, having teacher professional development and strong individualized teacher support, and then collaborating with stakeholders and experts in the field. And these are some ways that we're going to measure our progress to determine if we're meeting these goals or we need to review and revise and make some updates for next school year. So we want to make sure we're using our formative and summative assessment data. So those are those ongoing assessments that we're doing every day in the classroom. Then also our Lead 360 and our end of year assessments. Reviewing student work daily. Growth on checklists or standard aligned checklists for our students. Daily classroom observations and walkthroughs. Review of accomplishment for current and previous graduates, so look at what our students have done, where they transition to, and then see what we can do to provide stronger supports for them, and also gauge feedback from our stakeholders. Okay, questions?
Yes, this is Victoria Amos speaking. And on the tour, I saw that the Louisiana School for the Deaf has an apartment for seniors for independent living. And LSBA does not presently allow that for seniors, so how do they obtain proper learning and independent living?
So currently, LSBI has one dormitory for boys and one for girls. I believe there are plans of making some transition housing in the front of the campus. There's a duplex that's currently being renovated, and that is going to be plans for an 18-plus transition housing for students. But currently, they're separated into different wings in the dorm so that they are separated by ages, and based on the ages of the wings, they have different experiences within the residential program.
Interesting. Okay. Very nice. Thank you.
Yes.
I just had a brief question. It piqued my interest. What assistive technologies is increasing the use of assistive technology? So I was just interested to.
So we have, especially with the transition to virtual learning, we've been working to increase students' proficiencies. Our younger students with iPads, our older students with computers, using VoiceOver, using refreshable braille displays, trying to get them more proficient in those skills so they can utilize them independently. So it's kind of a quick push for some of them to get them there, and it is a process to develop those skills. But we are starting when they're young. We're using the digital literacy skills checklist from the Department of Education. We've incorporated some BI-specific skills into that checklist as well, and we are progressing through that with our students, trying to make sure that they are on par for grade level expectations with technology.
Just a,
Sorry about that. Just a quick follow-up question about technology, Michelle. Will you guys be offering any summer courses for the technology to ensure that consistency of training and education?
Absolutely. So for the summer program, we are offering 4 weeks. It will be open to all students. High school students can come for credit recovery if they need to, but otherwise it's optional for students pre-K through 12th grade. And we will have our technology teacher on staff, and they can continue with those skills as well. Dr. Bell.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. It sounds really very comprehensive, really good progress and really good plans for the goals and objectives that you have for the improvements that are necessary. My question is, do you feel that you have the staff and the resources necessary to achieve those goals that you're laying out, or what do you need to help get to those goals?
So right now, we'll say this year, we were very fortunate to be able to allocate a teacher as an interventionist. That was the first time we've had that. So that's been really critical to the success of that literacy program I was talking about. One of the areas that we want to continue, a few of the areas we want to continue improving on are the technology, of course, and also math, supporting teachers and students. So we're hoping to be able to add some support in the way of a math coach or math interventionist to make sure that we're meeting all the students. And then also possibly some additional technology support, since that is such an important skill for students to be able to grow in. So we're hoping to be able to add some support there.
Yeah.
Yes.
One more question about technology.
Sure. It's very important.
It is. Would LSBI be keen, excuse me, for any of the summer courses that focus on assistive technology? Would LSBI be keen to offer, let's say there may be an instructor available who's in North Louisiana, for that virtual instruction? Would that be something that LSBI would be open to?
It's an instructor that currently doesn't work for LSBI, but they would be
Correct.
interested.
I'm just throwing it out.
It's not something we've done before, but we are always open to new things and looking to see if logistically, we could work it out. So that's absolutely something we would be interested in looking at to bring on that skill set.
We'll be in touch.
Any other questions? Well, thank you everyone so much for your time today. If you think of anything else, please always feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Okay, we're going to take a brief 5-minute break, and then when we come back, we will have some updated of what's going to happen. Okay, so 5 minutes, and it's 2:45. Thank you.
We rejoin the meeting after the break.
Okay, y'all, while we wait on a couple of different people, to the board members that are present and to our audience, we've kind of had a long day already, so what we are wanting to do to factor in the drive times for many of the board members is that we are wanting to defer C and D under number 3, Roman numeral 3, which would be, the fiscal operations and the teacher shortage report, and also Roman numeral 4, the presentation of the special school district strategic plan. And we're going to want to move on to the action items. And the action item would be the special school district bylaws that were sent out to the board members about a week ago. So all of the board members should be familiar with them. But as soon as a couple of people return, we'll take a vote by the board to see if we can defer those 3 items to the next meeting.
This is Jane. I have a question about the direct details. Can it be found online? Is there any link that we can find online for the details?
They'll be posted after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it looks like we have everybody back in attendance. So at this time, we will take a vote to defer items under Roman numeral 3, C, fiscal operation, D, teacher shortage report, and Roman numeral 4, presentation of the special school district strategic plan. So I need the board members, in essence of time for our travelers.
Move that we defer those items to the next meeting.
Okay, second.
Oh, and this is Ms. Crosby, as second.
Okay, so we have Ms. Crosby, second, Dr. Edward Bell. Okay, is everybody in agreement with that we can defer these items? Anybody that doesn't want to defer the items? Okay, does everyone agree with that we defer the items to the next meeting? Raise your hand so I can see. Okay. Does anybody not agree? Okay, it looks like we will move on. And we are going to discuss the action items, and we have Mr. Griffin. He's coming. Yes,
So just to clarify, we're discussing the bylaws right now. We are not going to be discussing some of the other things.
yeah, we're gonna defer.
Budget overview is different.
It's
And
C.
now bylaws.
We're gonna talk about the bylaws right now. That's where we're waiting for Mr. Griffin. So if you look at the agenda, C, D, and Roman numeral 4.
I'm assuming we refer to the bylaws. Thank you.
Hello? There we go. All right, so, wonderful. Thank you. So these bylaws, obviously,
Excuse me.
question, yes.
Yeah, may I ask you, I'd like to know who you are first.
Sure.
Before we get started.
Sure, my name is Chad Griffin. I am outside counsel for the school district.
Okay, I remember now. Sorry.
So I was tasked with creating a set of bylaws for the agency. Of course, the issue beforehand is that the agency was previously under the jurisdiction of.
Sorry, can we put some light on towards the front? So we can see the interpreter a little bit better. Yes, that works great. My eyes are gonna fall out.
That was much better. All right, wonderful. So I was tasked with creating these bylaws for the agency. Moved previously under the jurisdiction of LDOE and BESI. So we're under their BESI policy, of course, pursuant to the law legal change last year, a new policy. We used to create a new set of bylaws for the agency. The bylaws are pretty straightforward. They closely track other independent educational agency bylaws in the state, including NOCA. So when you're looking at them, they're very simple, they're very straightforward, and there really isn't much that is outside of what you would typically see for a state agency bylaw. So of course, we start out with the board of directors, just Article 2, which is just the general powers that are directly pulled from the new state statute that grants Louisiana Special School District the authority as an independent agency. So those are, nothing outside of what is in state statute, directly pulled from there. Similarly, in Article 2, specific 2.3, specific duties, those are also directly pulled from the state statute. Going on to Article 3, officers. That's just basically setting forth the roles of the officers in the agency. Of course, at any time the board feels like there needs to be a change as far as some specific duties or particular officers, the board can motion for a change in that. As of right now, this will be set forth as far as specific duties for the particular officers mentioned here, which are the president, the vice president, the secretary treasurer. Article 4, this just sets forth the rules for the general meetings. The amount of meetings that will be had by the board, where those meetings will take place, notice required for meetings, how the board can call special meetings, what quorum will be for the board, what the rules of order will look like for the board. Of course, that's Robert's Rules of Order, as we've been going through today. The typical order of business. Basic reference to open meetings law. And just so the board knows, there will be a separate training on all board responsibilities. So that's open meetings law, anything related to that, public records law, any kind of public bid law, other things similar. So we're not going to discuss that really in depth today. This is not the forum. We can have separate training on those issues moving forward. That will get you prepared to manage those issues as we move forward. Article 5, committees. We only place one actual committee, one standing committee in the bylaws at this time, which is the Personnel Committee. At any time, the board would like to create a special committee, whether that be some other type of committee to deal with specific discrete matters, whether that be financial or something similar. The board can create those special committees. But we didn't want to go ahead and create committees, additional committees without the board's knowledge and approval. So the only one we really created is the Personnel Committee right now. Of course, the Personnel Committee will have to be staffed, and that's going to be at the discretion of the board president to staff those committees. And any additional special committees. Yes?
Can you break down what is a personnel committee exactly?
Sure. So the Personnel Committee is going to be in charge of, obviously the board has the responsibility to select and appoint the superintendent and also to negotiate the superintendent's contract with the superintendent. So the Personnel Committee will be in charge, responsible for negotiating that contract, discussing and negotiating the contract. And going through the hiring process in the future.
Okay. I have a question as well, going back to Article 2, about the selling of property and the buying of property of this campus. If we were to sell, is that a board decision?
No, but it is ultimately going to be the board voting on these matters, but it would not be a board decision, if that makes sense, right? It would not necessarily be a board decision to make as far as the buying and selling of any properties, particularly state properties.
I can clarify. So because this is a state entity, the board may vote to sell, however, you would have to go before the Commissioner of Administration and his legal counsels to sell any property that is state property. It's not just Commissioner of Administration, but also the legislature.
So you vote on the action, right? But you ultimately don't make the ultimate decision to carry forth that action.
Thank you.
And it's the same thing with the hiring of the superintendent, even for instance, the Personnel Committee. First off, just want to clarify, the committees don't make determinations. The committees will meet and discuss those issues, whatever discrete issue they have, and they will bring their determination, their findings to the larger board, who will then ultimately make the decision. But even for, the hiring of the superintendent, there's a larger process that we'll have to go through, the agency will have to go through to actually make that official. Right, so the board ultimately votes on these issues to move forward with action, but it does not have the authority to fully carry out those actions.
That one more. Yeah, going back to Article 5.
Can you use the microphone, please?
turn it on.
About that. Okay, going back to Article 5.2 on the Personnel Committee, the reference there shall also be responsible for recommending to the board any contractual agreements made with personnel by the superintendent. Can you elaborate on that one, maybe give an example?
So particularly if there's any contracts that are over a certain amount, I think that would be, if there were any contracts over a certain amount, so for instance, for myself even, if my contract would have to go through the board as outside general counsel for your approval. For general hiring, I don't think you guys would have, any, responsibility over general hiring. But for the larger contracts, I believe there would be some sort of recommendation and power there. Of course, that's going to have to be determined ultimately by the board and be through what, level of involvement you want there. But as far as typical hiring and personnel decisions on, school-based level, that would not be a responsibility of the board.
Yeah, so I'd like to get clarification on that, because it says made with personnel by the superintendent, so it does speak specifically to personnel. And then, so I'd like to get clarification on that. And then if there is going to be a threshold for contract, if it requires a board or committee or whatever review, I'd like to get clarification on that.
So maybe what we can do is add an amendment to, not even maybe an addendum to the actual bylaws that spells out the responsibilities of the personnel committee and kind of further delves into that. Maybe that's something we can work on with the board and ratify that. So once there'll be some discussion with the board about what we're looking for there, and add that on as an addendum instead of going back to we want to keep the bylaws as simple as possible. But again, we can always add an addendum to them that further fleshes out what the actual specific responsibilities are going to look like.
Okay, going back to Article 3, paragraph 2.2, this is describing speaking about officers being elected for terms of 2 years, if I understand properly. Says the president, vice president of the board should be allowed to serve more than 2 continuous terms. Where is the term in the bylaw?
More than 2 consecutive terms. And not include terms.
So it is limited?
Terms are limited, it is term limited, and I believe that, terms are on 2.5. So,
2.5?
2.5.
Section 2.
Yes, section 2.5.
Can you hear my please?
I can read it out. So it says term, the term is 2.5, so in section, Article 2.5, the terms of the members of the board shall be concurrent with the term of the person making the appointment, and they shall serve at the pleasure of the appointing authority. Members shall serve until their successors have been appointed and qualified. A vacancy on the board shall be filled in the manner of the original appointment. No member of the board shall be an employee of the agency. And that's directly from the state statute as well.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I think we went through committees. Article 6, amendment or repeal of bylaws. Of course, as we just discussed, we can't always amend the bylaws. It takes a vote of the majority of the entire board. No action shall be taken unless notice of the proposed adoption, amendment, or repeal, and a copy of such proposed changes was presented at a previous meeting, or unless written notice of proposed changes was served upon each member of the board at least 30 days in advance of the vote upon such changes. So, for instance, if we wanted to make an amendment or an addendum to the bylaws, we would just go through that process to add the addendum once we figure out, specific information we want to include in that addendum.
Right, and it's a two-third vote to change an amendment, right? A two-third vote?
Will be 2/3 of, yes, majority of the board. Okay.
So numbers wise, it would take 7 votes for the 2/3 for any changes.
Any changes to what?
Amendment. That's a 2/3 is 7 people.
Okay, Article 7, rules and regulations of the board. Of course, any action by the board establishing policy or methods of procedure, administrative, business, academic, or otherwise not contained in these bylaws shall be known as policies and procedures of the board. So we can come up with some additional policies and procedures of the board that are outside of the bylaws. Of course, we have not done that yet. We can get to that point. So for instance, and now that I'm thinking of it, even the addendum that we would create could actually be a policy and procedure of the board that actually details how the personnel committee will conduct its business. And so policies and procedures of the board may be adopted by the board or may be amended or repealed or in part at any meeting of the board in accordance with law. So that would also require a 2/3 vote. And then the final section, to Article 8, which is miscellaneous terms. So the capitalized terms used, but not defined herein, shall have immediate subscribed to them under the state statute, that's Louisiana Revised Statute, annotated 1970.21. And the following implementing that statutes as well. 8.2, invalid provisions. Of course, any part of these bylaws shall be held invalid. It does not invalidate the entire set of bylaws. And then the simple part about the headings, that really is there just for legalese terms and not necessarily for our discussion. Were there any questions related to the bylaws?
I'm not sure if it's specifically related to the bylaws, but decision was made about the committee. Can somebody help us with regard to timing for establishing the committee membership and how that process is going to work?
So as far as the personnel committee specifically, there's no specific timing for it. If we would, and honestly, the personnel committee is not required. If it is something that the board does not feel is necessary, we can always amend the bylaws to have it be a decision of the entire board. We suggest the personnel committee solely because it's usually easier to discuss, maybe have those discussions with a smaller group first, and then to bring that information to the larger group for the larger discussion. Because it can take some time. That, it's usually easier to find amongst a smaller group of people. Now, as far as timing goes, again, there's no set time limit for when that needs to occur. However, we're going to have some discussions about personnel contracts at this point. So the sooner the better to make to have those committees. Again, those committees will be appointed by the president of the board. Any other questions? No, we're going to vote. Okay.
On Article. Can you use the microphone, please?
8.1, the capitalized terms in the revised statute should be 17:1945.1.
Gotcha. We will change that. I think we can just resolve to change that small piece here today by agreement of the board. So I guess we have to vote on that first, and then we can vote on the actual ratification of the bylaws. So the vote would be to make a change to section 8.1 to change the statute from 1970.21 to 1719.45.1.
And say this again.
1719.45.1.
I move the change be made.
A second. That's Ms. Butler. Yes.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah, we plan to adopt the bylaws as
Okay, so now we're gonna move to adopt the bylaws. So is there any public comment before we begin the voting? No, okay. So, to adopt the bylaws, a motion.
I move the bylaws be adopted.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bell. And then a second.
A second.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so at this time, we're going to move to executive session.
We're supposed to have a vote first, this is Mr. Gore.
We should vote on the bylaws.
Is there any opposition to the motion?
Yeah, there's a motion on the floor now, and there's a second, so please go ahead and have a vote on that motion. Unless, withdraw the motion.
Sorry, this is the first time I'm running the meeting set. Okay, so we first and seconded, now we will vote. All board members in favor of adopting the bylaws?
Are we voting by majority or by two-thirds? This is Mr. Gore asking.
Yeah, actually, let's go back, we amended it, that should be a two-thirds. So let's go back to the amendment, the change on 1945.1, we did not vote on that. Back to the amendment.
We should have voted on that before we adopted the bylaws.
Yes, and we didn't vote, so go back to the amendment.
First and seconded. Okay, now we need
So,
to,
Dr.
Okay.
Bell first, was the first motion, Augur was the second. So you need to ask if there's any opposition to that, and then if there is, then we'll vote, but that's the two-thirds there.
okay, is there any opposition to changing that small part that we edited? Looks like there is no opposition, so we will vote.
Okay.
Good.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So now you can go to the adopting the bylaws as written. And you have a first, you have a second.
Right.
You have no opposition, so then ask. All for the item.
Okay, so everybody that wants, is in
As
favor?
amended, I'm sorry, as amended.
Okay, everybody in favor of adopting the bylaws as amended, please raise your hand.
So you have bylaws.
All right, so
And
now we
then
have bylaws.
and then now after this meeting. So you need, now you're going to executive session, we need to vote to go into executive session.
Okay, so I need a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor? Raise your hand.
Mr. Gore should be a two-thirds majority. Am I correct?
Okay.
We now rejoin the meeting after the executive session.
Okay, is this everybody? Okay, so we are going to, I'm going to make a motion to give Catherine Gagne signing authority while the superintendent is away. I need somebody, okay?
Who made the motion? Is it Mr. Gore?
Yeah,
The motion needs to come from the floor.
yeah, right. I just need somebody to,
I'll move that the signing authority given to Catherine Gagne in the absence.
okay? Second?
Second.
Okay, is there any opposition? Raise your hand if there's any opposition. Okay. Passed. All right. The last thing that we have is,
But I'd like to offer another motion to the board that the board requests Superintendent Garrett to provide a letter to the board identifying the individual who will be in charge of the campus in his absence.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any opposed?
anybody opposed? Raise your hand. Okay. Okay, the motion has passed. Any other business? Okay, adjourned. Oh, we have to take a motion to adjourn.
You actually don't, you have no more business.
Okay, so I will not take a motion to
If
adjourn.
we need it, I move to adjourn, Mrs. Sherry Cross.
Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all.